Welcome back to Proper Pod Podcast. Chris Ornaus, your host here. Today we are talking about how to learn a new skill, or maybe it's a new hobby, whatever it is. We're going to be talking about how to ease into that, and it's simple. The answer is don't ease into it, just do it. So let's get some examples here. The easiest example I can give you is that learning to swim is easiest in deep water, right? You learn either really fast or you don't learn at all. Those are the two options. And it's really that same mentality as like fake it till you make it. You hang on by a thread while you're in the deep water, and eventually, the longer you're in the deep water, the more you're gonna figure out, and it's gonna become more and more efficient, and you're gonna be good at it eventually. And it's just that first initial time is gonna be stressful, and it's gonna be tough to get yourself to do it. And then once you're in there, you're just gonna have to grind it out. And the great thing is that most of these things that you guys want to do is not jumping into deep water. And no, I don't suggest doing that. It's just a really good example. So say, let's use this as an example. So I started a new job down here. The job that I came from was I was working at a grocery store, and I was in a management position, but there was a lot of managers, and I had small bits of experience in a lot of different areas, but I wasn't specialized at anything. Then I moved down here and I applied to a new job, which was similar, and I was able to use all those things that I had experience in, but I wasn't specialized in them. But I had done a lot of these things that they were asking if I had done. Then I get the job. It's a management position job, but it is now specialized to a certain area. And I was like, oh boy, I have to be really good at these things that I only did a few times. The other job, I was basically covering for the store manager on a few things, and at this new job, they were now my responsibility, and I didn't have anyone to double check my work, and I didn't have anyone to ask questions to. So I was just kind of thrown in there. And I was like, well, I told them I could do it, so I'm going to figure it out. And that's how I've done everything my whole life. From a young age, I was never really taught a lot of things. I was just expected to know or expected to catch on. And I was never given, praise, or I was never given confirmation that I was doing anything correctly. It was just what I was constantly told was I would ask, like, did I do it right? And they're like, I'll tell you if you do it wrong. Is how I was constantly, and that's at work, that's at home, that was at everywhere. It was just, you don't get praised for doing it correctly, you only get reprimanded for doing it incorrectly. And so if they're not telling you anything, you're doing it right, which is a lot of times the way that the work world works. That's how things work nowadays, especially with everyone being just kind of put into their own places. There's not a lot of teamwork going on in these jobs that I'm seeing. And maybe that's different. Maybe it's just what I've run into, the experiences I've run into, but it just seems like everyone is expected to do their job, and there's not a lot of crossover or communication between coworkers anymore. Now that people have computers and they have all the tools to do things themselves, they're expected to do it themselves, and there isn't a lot of communication and collaboration. So yeah, we have to get good at this. We have to get good at being able to get thrown in and fake it till we make it. And that's exactly what I did. I got the job, and then I jumped in there and I pretended I knew exactly what I was doing, and I just listened a lot. I listened a lot to everyone, and I would go in there and people would be like, oh man, do you know how to do this? I'm like, yeah, I have like a good idea of how to do it. I haven't done it for this store specifically, was like my go-to. So it was like, if there was mistakes, it was because this is a new store, which is valid. And they would go, oh, well, the last person that was in your position, they kept messing this and this up, and it was so simple to fix. All you had to do was this. And people just complaining about past people who did the job. And I was like, okay, taking notes. All right. So I just listened to what everyone said. I didn't even have to make the mistakes because I learned from everyone else's mistakes. And then you can't be scared to ask questions either. And I was like, so I'd be like, oh, was there anything else that they messed up a lot? Or what do you really like that they did, and then I made sure to do that as well. So stepping into the shoes of the previous person and then going beyond, being able to start above their, or maybe at their highest point is your baseline. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions at all, because that's how you learn also. And people are afraid to look stupid, and people are afraid to look like they don't know what they're doing. They're afraid to look ignorant, which is sad, because everyone is ignorant. We're not born with instincts like most animals, right? We're born and we're taught everything we know. So it's extremely silly to be thrown into any position and then be expected to know what to do, which is why asking questions is so important, because we are taught everything we know. Yes, we have the ability to learn it, but it's so much easier to learn from someone else's past experiences, which is why you're probably listening to this podcast, is because you're trying to learn from my past experiences. So that's what we do. That's how we learn. So why is it so wrong to ask questions? And why is it so wrong to feel like, why do we feel bad when someone takes the time to answer your question? Because for them, it's people enjoy teaching. People really enjoy teaching because it's almost like a flex, They're like, "Oh, I know this and you don't know this, and I'm happy to help you because now you can be that person." And I don't know if that's just like innately inside of us, that because of the way, we grew up as, I don't know, cavemen or whatever, just in like a tribe, or however, wherever it comes to, like wherever it came from, I'm not sure, but it's just that sense of, we got to keep everyone on the same page. And if you're going to be around me, I want you to know everything I know, so that we can be a better team, or that I can rely on you. Because it's so nice to say something to someone and be like, "Hey, can you get this done?" And then they just say, "Yeah, I know exactly how you like it done, and I'll get it done." And instead of just saying like, "Hey, do you know how to do this? Can you get it done?" And they go, "I've never done that before." And then you're like, "Oh, well, I could teach you, and then you can do it, or I can just do it myself." But during those slow times when we can teach, that's when we should teach. And don't be afraid to be that person to give that knowledge either, because if that person is willing to grow and they want to be good at what they do, then they're going to listen. Anyone who doesn't listen, who thinks they know what they do, they're going to be stuck at the bottom. It doesn't matter what level you're at. The people who are at the highest level are always willing to learn, and then the people who are just barely made it to where, an acceptable level, those are usually the people who are stuck. And I mean, you also see it, the people who are older, kind of like working, they've been working their 9 to 5 for a long time, or maybe once they have kids, and they're stuck in their routine, they're not willing to learn anymore. And that's what I see a lot from this past generation, and what I've seen, yeah, from my parents, I'd say. And they're very just stuck in their ways. A lot of people are, especially the small town that I grew up in. They all were as well. Just very stuck in their ways. They don't want to hear about any ideas. They don't want to know what's changing in the world. And if anything is changing in the world, they're very quick to get on top of that and say, "This is stupid, this is dumb, I don't like the way that this is going, this isn't the way it's supposed to be." And it's not their place to tell you the way it's supposed to be, or to tell anyone the way they're supposed to live their lives. You get to live your lives the way you want to, and I'll live my life the way I want to. And we should be able to support each other and just share knowledge and create our own opinions and learn from the facts, about what there is to learn. And that's how we get better. And you can hear everyone's opinions, but just don't take them as facts also. That's really important. But we got off a little bit off topic. But yeah, just being able to, let's jump back on topic. The next point I had was, be, obviously open-minded and judgment-free is really big. So I've always been that guy that people come up to, even people who they don't even know. It's really odd. I mean, even all the way from grade school all the way until now, people will see me and I'll be, I'm not sure, like in almost like an open setting. So a good example would be, say, a tricking session, right? I'm at a tricking session and we're just in a big circle around the spring floor, and people are just throwing their tricks, and someone will come up to me that I've never met before, and they go, "Hey, I really wanted to ask you about this thing you're doing, and what is your opinion on it?" Or they'll say like, and maybe non-tricking related. I would be sitting on the bus in grade school, and people would come up to me and be like, "Hey, I like kind of know you, but you just seem like you can like keep a secret, or you seem like a guy who can who has like who has like a good mindset and like a good good opinions that I want to hear. I want to like pick your brain about this idea that I have, or like how I feel, or it's like just really deep things. Or I hear all the time like, hey, I've never shared this with anyone. And I'm like, why are you telling me? I don't know you. But they're just willing to. And I don't know if that is just because I'm open-minded or because I am judgment free, because I am very much judgment free. And I don't know if they can just sense that immediately, or I don't know what it is about me that's so approachable, because I'm like a built, like, short-haired dude with piercings and tattoos. I don't like, I'm not the stereotypical guy that you come up to and share your feelings with. So I'm not really sure where that comes from or why people feel that they can do that with me, but they absolutely can, and I am that guy. I just don't know how people can tell. But I think it's really, really cool. And but being that person is really good, because that is also another way that you learn, is through that. Just allowing people to share their opinions and thoughts in that way, and let them be deep with you and you be deep with them. And that's also how that they were willing to share, I guess. But that's funny, because I am deep with them after they approach me. But what's funny is just the initial approach is just kind of blows my mind. I don't understand that. But yeah, being open in the first place, if you're not that person that people approach, if you approach someone and be deep with them, they will be deep back with you. And if they're not deep with you, then that's on them. But no skin off your back, right? So yeah, just creating like a judgment free zone for yourself, because also me being judgment free also helps me a lot with not feeling other people's judgment. Because if I if something someone does bothers me, or I judge someone for the way they say something or the way they act, um, it's just they can feel that. Or then it's like it's like this: if you do something to someone over and over again, you think about them doing it back to you. So if I'm constantly judging people, then I'm also assuming that everyone else is judging me, right? So if I don't judge anyone, then I assume that no one judges me. And then if they are judging me, since I'm not someone who judges people, it doesn't bother me if they are, or it doesn't even cross my mind that they might be. So that's why it's so that's where this podcast is going to lead to, is getting that mindset down of understanding, like, can we do things for the right reasons, and can we be judgment free, and can we have an open mind, and can we be in a student mindset and constantly be learning? Because then the things that other people say, we don't take it personally, and the things that other people do, like pet peeves and things like that, they don't bother us. Almost like trying to reach this understanding of how to be like ascended, or like in I'm sorry, I can't think of what it's called. You know what I'm talking about though, like you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just trying to reach that state, that ultimate state of like bliss and happiness, and just like not be bothered by other people. And because we're all trying to get better, and it's really hard to be around people who are not trying to get better. So by acting the way you want to be, by being that person that you look up to, it's going to draw in the other people who want to be like that as well. And it's going to push away the people who aren't like that, versus pretending to be someone else or trying to fit in and hide your feelings and hide the way that you really want to be. This is really hard to articulate, but I think I'm getting my point across pretty well. But yeah, just put it out into the world, and don't be scared to be yourself, because you will attract the people like you, and you will push away the people that drain your energy. There are people out there that you probably pretend to be similar to, or you pretend to like and get along with, and that keeps them around, but you don't want them around, and you don't know how to push them away. Well, just be yourself, and it won't be anything weird. Or maybe they've been hiding it too, and they want to talk about things deeper with you as well. And talking about jumping into deep water, that's what I'm doing right now. I've planned very little for these podcast episodes. I hope they're coming out okay. I hope I'm articulating my ideas properly, and I hope my subjects are good for you guys. I'm going to keep getting better at it. as we go. Like I said, I just threw myself into this deep water. I have another podcast, but it has there's two of us, so it's a lot easier to get ideas bouncing back and forth. I'm going to get better at being an individual host. So please stick with me and comment suggestions and things that will help me relate my ideas and thoughts to you guys better. Because I'm just here to help you. That's really, I'm here to help you and get my ideas into a space that, makes them solid so they're not just floating around in my head constantly. You know what I mean? So, yeah, please help me out. Help me get better. Asking you guys for help. All right. See you guys next time.